If you've just entered a race or a Sportive and the organiser has a file of the course available to you, or even if you have the inclination to make one yourself, it can really help your performance on the day and help you to make your own strategy for the event. Essentially, you'll have home road knowledge even if you've never ridden on the roads before. Here's how.
The most obvious one is distance to go, and this is one that's probably best avoided in the early stages of your event, but in the latter half can actually be quite helpful. Firstly, in terms of your morale, and secondly, engaging how much strength and energy you've got for the last few miles.
Yeah, admittedly, this is something that you can easily calculate if you know how far you've ridden and how far your event is, but seeing those numbers tick down on your screen rather than up can be great for morale.
Another extremely handy piece of information is knowing when the next climbs are. In a race, you can then time your positioning so that you start the climb near the front, or in a mountain or Sportive, it'll mean that you can mentally prepare yourself for the forthcoming effort and make sure that you've got enough food and drink on board.
Now, the elevation page on your Garmin will allow you to see roughly where you are on each of the climbs that you've got on your route. So you can set the axis to a scale that's going to be suitable for the length and gradients of the climbs that you've got to deal with. Then as you're riding along, you'll simply be able to watch yourself from the screen and see how close you are to the top.
Yeah, once again, it will better enable you to measure your effort on the steeper climbs. So, if you're feeling ready to attack and super strong, you can save it until the steepest part of the climb to really stick it to your rivals.
What are you doing? What do you mean? I'm not a rival, I'm a teammate. On the flip side though, if you're in a race and just hanging onto your group by the skin of your teeth, then you look down and you see on your Garmin, in the middle of this long climb, you're just about to come up to a flat section, a slight plateau. It can be a real morale boost. So you can dig that extra bit deeper to hang on with the group that you're in. Then when you get to the plateau, you'll have the advantage of being on the wheels and you'll be able to recoup a little bit of energy.
Yeah, and similarly, you could be in a Sportive, and when you know there's a part of the climb that's upcoming where you can spin your legs, take a little bit of a breather, even have a drink, it can be a real psychological benefit.
As we all know, wind is a fairly major factor when it comes to how fast or slow, how easy or hard it is when you're out cycling. So in your event, it's really handy on the maps to be able to see when you're about to make a major change in direction. So for example, if you're out on a Sportive ride, you've been cruising along alone with a nice tailwind, but you can see that you're about to turn into maybe a crosswind or even a headwind, there's the time when you really want to try and find a larger group to sit in. That way you'll be able to take advantage of slipstreaming behind others.
Yeah, in racing, it can be almost essential to a good result. Now, echelons is when a group splits up, when it gets into crosswinds, and they can have more of a bearing on a race than big climbs sometimes. So, it's vitally important that you know when the wind changes direction, you get into the right position. Then you're more than likely to be at the front of the split at the end of the race. You all right, Dan?
Bit windy.
If you create your own route, then you'll also be able to mark down certain points that you'll then see on the map on your Garmin screen. And it can be a particularly good idea to do this for feed zones so that you know where your next calories are coming from. And even in races, that's also the case, so you can position yourself on the correct side of the bunch to grab your musette, or indeed plan accordingly.
Now this next one might be a little more applicable to racers than it is to Sportive riders, and that's because narrow roads have a real funneling effect on a large bunch. So if you enter one too far back, it means the road will be blocked, you won't be able to move, and it'll be impossible to react to anything significant happening at the front.
Yeah, so a little bit of pre-race investigation will allow you to plot those key areas on your route, allowing you to be in the right place at the right time for minimal effort.
Finally, you could select a couple of segments along the route that you'd like to attack if you're that way inclined. That way you might not win the race or indeed be one of the fastest over the course of the Sportive, but you could go home with a K or QOM in your back pocket.
Segment King! Hey! So, having a race or a Sportive plugged into your Garmin can give you a real advantage over others. Not only will it give you extra motivation, but also you can save energy at certain points along the course, taking your tactics to a new level entirely.
Yeah, it will indeed. Now, if you would like to see our video where we explain how to follow live segments on your Garmin, you can find it by clicking just up there. And if you'd like to see our top 10 tips for Sportive riders, we've got a video on that as well, and it's just down there. And if you would like to subscribe to the channel, it's free, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Still free.
Still free.
Yeah.
Tell your friends.
I don't know how long it will be, probably forever.
Forever, yeah.
But all you've got to do is just click on us.
Or any of our parts. Or Garmin's, not parts,
Parts?
just Garmin's and accessories.
Yeah, cover it up, man. You don't want people clicking
Shouldn't have
on
said
that.
parts, should I?
No.
All that's just fallen over.